what's good out there, world? Welcome to this edition of Smoking and Baking with tradeMarc. And today, I'm going to be making for you a homemade, made from scratch Oreo brownie cake. And ingredients are as follows. So I'm going to be using 3/4 cup of all-purpose flour, 1 1/2 cup of this sugar. Here I have Hershey cocoa powder, and I'm going to be using 1/2 cup. I'm going to be using 3/4 cup of unsalted melted butter. I'm going to also be using 1/2 of a teaspoon of salt. Also, here in my bag I have 14 Oreo cookies, and I'm not going to use my food processor, so I'm just going to bang them up in this bag. I'm also going to be using 3 tablespoons of vegetable oil, 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. I'm going to be using 3/4 cup of this Nestle Toll House semi-sweet chocolate chips, and I'm going to be using 2 large eggs and also the yolk from 1 large egg. I have my parchment paper in the back, my mixing bowl, my measuring cup, and I'm going to be using my 9 by 9 inch baking dish. I'm also going to be using my whisk, and here I have my electric burner. Now, once again, here are the ingredients I'm going to be using to make this homemade, made from scratch Oreo brownie cake. Now, let's get to baking. First thing that we're going to do is sift our dry ingredients together into this bowl. So I'm going to take my 3/4 cup of all-purpose flour and sift that right on in here. And then I'm going to add in my 1/2 cup of cocoa powder. And if I didn't mention it earlier, the cocoa powder is unsweetened. And now I'm going to just add the rest of my flour in. And then on top of that, I'm going to sift in my 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And once I get this all sifted, I'm going to set this aside, and then I'm going to just mix it a little bit and set it to the side. And I'm going to see you guys at the next step. Now I got my saucepan on my electric burner on a medium heat, and I'm going to add in my unsalted butter. And also I'm going to add in my 3 tablespoons of oil. Now I'm going to add in 1/2 cup of my sugar. And then I'm just going to whisk this together until it all melts. Once they get all dissolved, I'm going to set that off to the side along with my flour mix. Now let's get to the next step. So now I'm going to take my 2 large eggs, my yolk from a large egg, my 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, and I'm going to add in the remaining of the sugar, and this is like 1 cup. And I'm just going to whisk this all together until it's thoroughly mixed. So now that I have my sugar and my eggs mixed, I'm going to add in my butter mix, and I'm going to add it in portions. I'm just going to add some, and then I'm just going to stir it, and then I'm going to repeat the process until it's all thoroughly mixed in together. I have the butter all combined in with the eggs, I'm going to add in my flour mix, And I'm just going to add in a little at a time until it becomes thoroughly mixed. So I'm just going to use my spatula and then just drop like 3 scoops, and then I'm going to whisk that in, and then once I get it all whisked in, I'm going to repeat this step. So now I'm about to add in my chocolate, and also I'm going to add in some of my Oreo cookies. So right here I have 3/4 of a cup of my chocolate chips, and I'm just going to fold that into the mix. I'm not going to like really stir it. I don't want to over mix it, so I'm just going to fold it in. Now my cookies, I took these and I just crunched them up in a bag, and I'm going to use half of the cookies now, and then I'm going to save the rest for the top of the brownies. So I'm just going to take half of these and just fold this right on in with the chocolate chip. And then after I fold this in, I'm going to meet you guys at the next step when I put it into my baking dish. Off camera, I sprayed my baking dish down with some Pam, and I also lined it up with some parchment paper. And as you can see, I left some hanging around the side, so once it's done, I can just lift it from out of my dish. But let's get to putting the mix into the baking dish. So after we get it in, you just want to flatten it out as much as possible and get it even within your dish. And then after that, I'm going to take the remaining of my Oreo cookies, and I'm just going to place them on top like this and just press them down. So now that I have all my cookies placed on top of the brownies, I'm going to press it down firmly but gently into my mix. And once I do that, I already have my oven set to 350 degrees, and I want to cook it like for 30 to 45 minutes or until a toothpick comes out clean. So let me get this up into the oven, and I'm going to see you guys once it's done.